Andrew Stevens is the Regina City Councillor who has put forward the motion to turn Regina into a sanctuary city. Andrew, why is this a motion you wanted to make happen?
Well, for clarification, it's an access without fear motion. I think the title is important here. It's more reflective of what we're asking for and more aligned with what we've seen in Canadian jurisdictions. So the community groups I worked with to actually craft this, it's based on months of research and community engagement. And what we were finding and what we have found in the research about Regina and other cities is that some newcomers actually feel anxiety and fear about accessing city services. The Regina Police Service, for instance, has an outreach program with the Open Door Society for this reason. The Regina Public Library similarly has done a lot to address how it interacts with newcomers. So this is a way of actually embracing the city's vision statement, but also refining and advancing our cultural plan about how we interact with newcomers and with people of different backgrounds who are not originally from Canada.
Explain what it means for someone that would be able to make use of this. What changes? What makes it different?
Well, I think really the Access Without Fear motion is a statement that the city makes that all residents, regardless of status, no matter why you're here as a temporary foreign worker, a migrant worker, permanent resident, refugee, you have access to all of these city services, and that you shouldn't fear accessing these no matter where you're from and why. So it's actually about embracing newcomers into our city and making a statement and refining the policies we already have in community services to address this.
Why would they be fearful?
Well, for various reasons. If you come here as a refugee, sometimes you have apprehension, for instance, about police service. Figures of authority can be repressive. So for that reason, the RPS has developed outreach campaigns. Some fear deportation, fear authority. Some we know have expressed concerns about accessing something as simple as fire services. Fear of deportation. Should I be calling an authority figure? These fears are largely unfounded. So again, this is about a message about how the city communicates and educates people about newcomers in our community.
Are there any challenges with this being set up as a city project and how that would impact other programs that are run federally or provincially?
So it wouldn't affect them at all. In fact, we don't have the jurisdiction to do so. This is exclusively about the city of Regina. What we call for are more services from the provincial and federal government that have a role to play in immigration. But the fact of the matter is, you might come to Canada from Syria, the UK, the United States. You settle in our neighborhoods, you settle in our villages and our cities. So immigration certainly as a regulatory system is federal ultimately, but everybody lives in our neighborhoods. So cities have a great deal of authority over the lives of these people, and we want to make sure they're as welcome as they can be in Regina.
Calgary's mayor has said he wants to turn it into something that's more than just a statement and is something you can really apply.
Yeah.
Do you see how that would come into play here in Regina?
Absolutely. So certainly the principle of becoming an Access Without Fear city is important, but if you look at the motion, there are no less than about there are 3 components at least, but there's actually a whole bunch of details in there. What would be done to actually make this feasible? We have report mechanisms, costing, how we deal with training and education of city staff when they're dealing with newcomers. We also have provisions in there to address how do we have the city more welcoming and open. So there are details in there that the city administration will be tasked with, coming back to council and addressing how do we actually put some meat on this Access Without Fear motion.
How does this work with city police? If some sort of a situation was escalating into
Right.
something that needed to be investigated, does this have any influence in that regard?
So there's a couple of things here. I think you should actually address this particular question with the Regina Police Service. The City Council itself doesn't have the authority to regulate the specifics of how police conduct their business. There's a Board of Police Commissioners. That's a tricky territory. So the motion itself calls on the Regina Police Service to maintain its policy of not asking for immigration status during these random card checks with people or street checks with people. So we want to make sure that this is made clear to the Regina Police Service, but we don't have the authority to dictate the routine and the process of policing. But this is a signal. And I should say that I, as well as community members, have talked to Regina Police Service and the Police Chief, Evan Bray, to see what they are already doing. And we were really struck by how positive they are about this type of motion, but also that they are already doing this type of outreach. So in some ways, it's the city catching up with some of the stuff that the RPS is already doing.
I look forward to hearing the debate. Thank you, Andrew.
I'm excited about it. Thank you.